we wave?
Yeah. So if you guys could turn around and wave to the camera real quick. Thank you.
Good. Pretty good.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Kyle Carrier. I'm going to be giving a brief history lesson and informative speech on U.S.-Iran relations. We're going to talk about some major topics. One, who are the players? What is the Iran nuclear deal? And basically a timeline of events that have led to the current level of escalation. This does affect you. Believe it or not, your gas prices have gone up in the past 2 weeks, and there might be a war. So you might want to take that into consideration as you're listening, because it could directly affect anyone below the age of, or above the age of 18, below the age of 28, because you're all registered for the Selective Service. All right, begin. So first and foremost, some key locations. Two bodies of ocean are really important in the discussion. The Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman, most specifically the Strait of Hormuz. This is the most narrow passage that borders on the UAE, which is the United Arab Emirates, and Iran. This is where a lot of the harassment from Iran is coming from. They contest that it's their ocean, and the international community says, hey, this is open, international seas. And here are some of the events that have transpired, whether it be the attack of the UAE oil tankers and sinking of, or the shooting down of an American drone. We're going to jump into that in a minute. So some key things to understand: the Iran nuclear deal. This was a deal that was sparked up in 2015 by the Obama administration, specifically by Secretary John Kerry. The deal had 5 major aspects to it. First being that Iran gave up 97% of its enriched uranium, moving 10,000 kilograms down to 300. Second, maintain only 3.67% enrichment levels. To produce a nuclear bomb or a dirty bomb, you need to enrich at 97%. 3, go from operating 20,000 to only 5,000 centrifuges. These are required to produce enriched uranium or fissile material. 4, mandatory UN inspections. The UN can walk in at any time and make sure Iran is not cheating. What does Iran get? Basically, they got relief from economic sanctions imposed by the United States and the EU that were crippling its economy and damaging their middle class. So the major players. This is Mike Pompeo, John Bolton. You guys need to know who these two guys are. They are very hawkish on Iran. John Bolton kind of looks like the Lorax from Dr. Seuss a little bit. Both of these guys are very pro-Israel. And John Bolton has gone on the record. He said multiple times, we need to see a regime change in Tehran. Donald Trump's over here. He's kind of like chaotic neutral. He made a lot of campaign promises, promising de-escalation in the Middle East and lowering our troop forces there. He did that at the beginning, but he's having trouble keeping that promise now. These two fellows, this is Hassan Rouhani. He's the president of the Islamic Republic of Iran, and Ali Khamenei, he is the supreme leader. Now, Hassan is elected by the people in a democratic vote. Women and men can both vote for him. Now, Ali Khamenei is literally chosen by the religious radical side of their government, and he only answers to God, no one else. And he's in control of Hezbollah and the Iran Revolutionary Guard. These are two extreme branches of the government's military that only answer to him. And that's why these two hawks want these guys gone, because they kind of have a weird government going on. Ali Khamenei has said a number of times, Israel is a stain in the Middle East and it must be annihilated. And Rouhani has gone on the record a number of times saying that America must be destroyed as well. So these guys are not pro-America. All right, so a timeline. So the most significant here in the past year is May of 2018. The Trump administration officially withdrew from the Iran nuclear deal based on some evidence that said that basically Iran wasn't following the deal. And we were the first out of many allies to withdraw. Second, Iran attacks U.S. allies in the Persian Gulf. This happened a year later on May. They basically bombed 4 UAE oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz, causing massive damage. This did not make the U.S. military happy, and we deployed a ton of naval assets to the Persian Gulf. The third event, Iran shot down a U.S. drone valued at $160 million. It's the first direct conflict between our two countries. They shot it down. Iran made a very big mistake, President Trump said, because they shot it down over international airspace. Most recently, you probably saw this pop up on your phone. Iran seized 2 British oil tankers. Their Iranian Revolutionary Guard landed directly on the ship. They fast roped out of a helicopter. Gunpoint took over the ship, and now that crew today, still today, is being held hostage in a port in Iran. More recently, you probably saw this as well, Iran announced they had captured 17 American spies, and they are soon to be executed. Not to mention, for the first time in 16 years, we have over 70,000 troops in the Middle East, and specifically in Saudi Arabia, which include land, air, and sea assets, and we have a number of missile battery sites aimed directly at Tehran. So, with all these, with this escalation in force in mind, you have to take into consideration that there is a real possibility of war. We're at the 50% point where it's more likely than probable that this will end in conflict. So I covered some of the major players, some of the huge events in the Iran nuclear deal to give you guys some kind of perspective on the whole matter. I hope that it was enlightening and give you guys some perspective. Now I'm going to turn over the floor to you guys, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Yes?
Do you think an administration change in 2020 could change any of this from happening?
Well, the big problem is the economic incentives. So the reality is the UAE and Saudi Arabia actually like the fact that this is going on because the scarcity of oil has created a huge hike in the price. Russia likes this, Venezuela likes this. The economic benefits actually are huge for people that don't live in Iran because, like I said, as scarcity goes up, demand also increases, and therefore the price of oil is going to go up. So they stand to make billions of dollars.
Well, who are Iran's international allies?
They don't really have any. So yeah, they're kind of alone in this, and not a lot of people want Ali Khamenei to have a nuclear bomb, based on some of the discourse they've had with the American community and their neighbors. The Saudis don't like them. Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel actually full-on hates the Iran nuclear deal. He's hated it since the day of its inception. So yeah, they don't have a lot of friends. And yeah, Russia even stands to profit from an oil shortage. Any other questions? All right, guys, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for making an effort to be here again today. That's it.